What's up, guys? I'm Pencil here, and here we are to do a nice little breakdown on how hard, how deeply, how deviously, and how far can you take Yuji Itadori, the Prince of Black, into the realm of raw power in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen after his awakening. Warning! This video will contain undeniable, insane, and unbelievable amounts of Yuji slop, because that's the point of the entire video. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Anyway, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me, and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, y'all know what time it is. We are here to slop Yuji. We are here to just slop. Do not worry. I'll give like a more conservative estimate in another video, but we're just trying to take Yuji to the utmost extreme. How high we can take him, how high we can push him based on certain interpretations, and ultimately what that means for bro and his hypothetical potential even going forward in the future, obviously in 259 and beyond. So let's not waste any more time. Let's actually hop right into it. So obviously the big thing, the bad thing, the bodacious and bubblicious thing is the fact that Yuji Itadori has, as confirmed by the very narrator at the end of 256, Yuji Itadori, Black Flash, releases Yuji's potential amidst a shower of black sparks. Yuji Itadori has awakened. And of course, awakened Yuji is beastly, monstrous, devious, diabolical, whatever words and phrase you want to use. But the question is, how devious, how dubious, how diabolical, and how dangerous has Yuji Itadori become if we give him the most general and generous interpretations of all of his feats from the point of his awakening at the end of 256 onwards? Well, for lack of a better term, it do get quite devious. First things first, the biggest assumption we're going to make. This Sukuna is the same as this Sukuna, who's the same as this Sukuna, who's the same as this Sukuna, who's the same, go even further back in time, who's the same as this Sukuna. They're all the same, but specifically talking about their physicals, their stats, specifically their speed and their strength output. These are the two big things. Obviously, it is basically impossible to say that this Sukuna is at the same curse technique output as he was chapters upon chapters upon chapters ago. Thusly, as much as I would like to slap Yuji off durability-wise for him casually swinging through these dismantles from Sukuna, especially this dismantle net that Sukuna throws at him, I obviously cannot. Even trying to be as generous and unzipping Yuji as much as I want to, I cannot do that. But what I can do is make a solid argument that ultimately CT output does not affect your movement speed. And let's just be generous. Like I said, we're going to make a solid assumption that Sukuna at this point no longer wants to be hit by Yuji. Where before you could definitely argue it was some sort of inclination, it was a bit of fun that he was having. You know, Sukuna's a little bit freaky deaky like that. He likes getting hit. He likes it a lot. Did you see how he was handling the Gojo fight? But with that being the case, he likes getting hit. Up until the point where he realizes that Yuji Itadori has actually become a threat. And you know, I think that's not the most unreasonable claim to make. Right now, Sukuna, at least in 257, has one usable arm. The other three are chopped in one way, shape, and or form. He's still manually pumping his heart, and his RCT and general CT output is in the trash. So, presumably, if Sukuna did not want to get hit, he would not be getting hit. We're going to make that basic assumption. On top of the assumption that Sukuna's stats are still uniform. Since he still has both fully functioning legs, Maki did not take one of them bad boys off when she had the chance. If this man wanted to skedaddle or skedoodle out the way, he would have, if he could have. But, considering the fact that Mr. Yuji Itadori, after this initial Black Flash at the end of 256, goes on to land not one, we're going to talk about this in a bit, considering this is a Sukuna Black Flash, not two, not three, 4, 5, 6, totaling to 7 Black Flashes as we get confirmed at the start of 259. Yeah, Sukuna just couldn't dodge any of them. because he simply wasn't that guy at the moment. Now, obviously, you can make arguments against this, but once again, we are slopping Yuji. So, Sukuna, Yuji, relative in speed. Well, not even relative, for real, because let's really be honest, Yuji was kind of giving Sukuna the balls this entire chapter. Like, 257 in particular, Yuji was going absolutely buku bonkers. Of course, Ino ends up clutching up a bit, but like, for real, Yuji is out-handsing Sukuna. Admittedly, he literally has more hands in this context, but still, it's very impressive. So these two, relative in speed, Yuji could not dodge Sukuna. Or Sukuna could not dodge Yuji. You know what that means? Every single other individual who we've seen Sukuna, you know, completely outdo, Yuji now completely outdoes. Of course, we know that Sukuna can eclipse the speed of his dismantles pretty casually. Like we see Choso even admit, he got behind me faster than his flying slashes, meaning that Sukuna is faster than his dismantles. By what margin? Do his output, or does his output CT speed affect the speed of the dismantles, or dismantle speeds uniform? We're, for the sake of, once again, the slop argument, we're going to assume dismantle speeds are uniform. Whether it is a full chant dismantle, whether it is a no chant dismantle, whether Sukuna has 1% output or 100% output, we're going with dismantle speeds are uniform. The reason this is important is because if all dismantle speeds are uniform, and Sukuna is able to blitz his own dismantles to the point where Choso literally doesn't even get hit by them until Sukuna has already grabbed him, and Sukuna seemingly even drags Choso out of the way of the slashes before he can even get tagged by them. Meaning Sukuna not only beat his slashes out the cloud, but also beat them to Choso and then move Choso before the slashes can hit them. It means that Sukuna is really, really speedy. And once again, by process of elimination and process of sloppination, Yuji is also this speedy, meaning he could perception blitz Sukuna's slashes. Ignore the fact that he gets hit by them. Once again, we're going to go under the Yuta principle, and Yuji just doesn't care about dodging them since they will basically do no damage to him at this point. So we're going to go with that. He could dodge the dismantles. Don't worry about that. Once again, we're slopping. And since we're slopping, Maki is shown quite clearly to not be able to hit Sukuna when she wants to. She's only landed definitive, deadly, devious, and diabolical hits on Sukuna when it's not with Soul Split or when he's off guard. Like, legitimately, that's it. We see this as the moment Maki appears, Sukuna keeps eyes on her, reacts to her, all of her attacks, manages to catch Soul Split using the dismantle to hold it off. They go into an air-to-air battle, and Sukuna immediately just knocks her away with another black flash and then hits her with 2 slashes. So, it's clear that Sukuna still has an engine speed over Maki in spite of her precog. Meaning that anyone who's relative, or possibly directly equal, if not slightly superior to this Sukuna, considering all Sukunas are uniform under this assumption, it means that Yuji is faster than Maki and would be able to eclipse her precog. That's pretty important. Very important. Because one of Maki's best feats is this. Leaping over a dismantle and ultimately just bullying them for the most part, actually casually dodging them and knocking them away. And with all dismantle speeds being uniform, that puts Maki, at least with the precog, above the dismantle speeds pretty consistently, unless she's literally dealing with the recoil of something else, like, you know, a whole black flash to the gut, which she does eat here. But then she gets hit by dismantles, and while she's able to dodge and react to some of them, we know Sukuna can perception blitz his own dismantle. This is also, once again, doubled down and really hinted at here, where Sukuna throws a dismantle at Maki, sends her flying through a building, already meets Maki on the other side of the building. So, bada bing, bada boom, Sukuna, and all Sukunas are uniform in this explanation, is a whole perception blitz tier above Maki. We literally see this verbatim confirmed later on in the chapter, where Maki thinks she's her, only to immediately get perception blitz, in spite of her precognition. So Sukuna, when he's going serious and actually wants that hit, land a hit, or not get hit, he can do that to Maki. He couldn't do that to Yuji. He could not do that to Yuji, unless the Yuji landed 7 whole black flashes on that man. Once again, all Sukunas are uniform. So, that means that in terms of raw speed, Yuji should be uncontested the best. While, don't get me wrong, Yuta Kotsu has one singular feat of dodging a dismantle. Kind of. Sukuna puts his hands up and there's slash marks, and then Yuta managed to weave around that. Yuta proceeds to never dodge his dismantle again. Like legit, not what, like, bro consistently gets hit by them, no matter what. He doesn't react to them with sky manipulation or nothing. That man just keeps getting hit by dismantles. Throughout this entire chapter, while domain amped. And we see, very specifically, every single time Sukuna actually wants to deal with him, while he only has 2 arms to spare, he's still able to mostly react to Yuta and hold him off while Yuta's wielding his blade. The only times he doesn't necessarily do that is when he's focusing his output and attention elsewhere on Yuji, And Yuta's able to catch him lacking with a combination of cursed speech and a thin icebreaker. But notably, there's no point ever where Yuta is A, able to dodge dismantles, and or B, really dodge Sukuna or land any fatal damage on Sukuna unless other conditions have been met. Very specifically, the condition of Sukuna being caught off guard by, a whole cleave, and or other conditions where ultimately it just all implies that Sukuna is still above Yuta, even a domain amped Yuta in speed. You know what that means. If he's above both Yuta and Maki in speed, in spite of Maki's precog and Yuta's insane stats, that means Yuji would be above Maki in speed in spite of her precog, and then above Yuta in spite of his insane stats. And notably, this isn't even all too crazy for the Yuta thing, because, we do see them run and move and fight pretty much in tandem for the most part throughout their entire battle. They literally have a comparison panel where they run the same way towards Sukuna at the same pace at different levels, and then they both take hits from Sukuna at the same time, get knocked back about the same way, so they're pretty comparable overall. And you want to know the crazy thing? That's just speed, which implies that he'd be able to do everything that Sukuna did to either of them, putting him undeniably as the third fastest character in the verse, only behind possibly a full power Sukuna and Gojo himself. But also, he's stupidly tanky. Stupidly tanky. Remember that Black Flash I mentioned that we were going to come back to? Yeah, despite how weak Sukuna is, this still is a Sukuna Black Flash that Yuji doesn't even react to. You want to know what happens when Maki got hit by a one-armed Sukuna Black Flash? Oh God, sweet mother of mercy! Yeah, she got knocked out the darn chapter. Twice! Admittedly, this one didn't knock her out the chapter. She had another little bit after that, but she still got hit by 2 slashes and then proceeded to disappear. And didn't show back up until 258, where she was being guarded by Miwa, of all characters. And obviously, in the previous chapter, even before that, she gets hit by Black Flash and is once again removed from the chapter, leaving Kusakabe to fight. So, one character gets hit by Sukuna Black Flash, and they don't even flinch. They don't even get knocked back at all. The other, they get knocked out. So clearly, Yuji above Maki in terms of durability and speed at this point, just based on scaling relative to a Sukuna and Sukuna not being able to dodge any of Yuji's hits when Yuji wants to land a hit. Yuta and Yuji comparable while Yuta's in domain, meaning Yuta has no more amps that he could hypothetically give himself outside of a Black Flash, which wouldn't even land on Yuji, considering Yuji's speed advantage, and Yuji would keep comboing Black Flashes on Yuta. Yeah, Awaken Yuji above Yuta. Durability-wise, once again, we see that both Yuta and Yuji take relative amounts of damage from Sukuna and his nerf dismantles. Both immediately see them and get sliced up a bit, but they heal them off relatively instantaneously. But, you know what else we see? We see a Mr. Yuta Kotsu take damage from these things, just like Yuji goes on to take damage from these things. But then 258 comes out and drops a little interesting tidbit. This domain expansion that Sukuna drops in 258 has very specific criteria. Having survived the Black Flash, Sukuna generates Malevolent Shrine without a decrease in the effective area or output through imprecise elements and an impromptu binding vow. You know what that means? It means that this is a full output Malevolent Shrine. Meaning that all of Sukuna's soul debuffs don't matter. This is a full output Malevolent Shrine. Do you know what Yuji goes on to do to this full output Malevolent Shrine? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack on the side. He eats the thing. Legitimately. Sure, he loses the leg. But he immediately reattaches it and already starts healing. Even if he took this full output Malevolent Shrine for a total of 2 seconds. The fact that he survived 2 seconds against a full output Malevolent Shrine while he's getting hit by numerous cleaves and does not get reduced to pieces, means he's infinitely more durable than anything else Yuta's shown access to. Yuta got hit by a full chant dismantle at point blank range, and he was in half. Admittedly not to the point where his domain would have collapsed, but he was in half. Yuji gets hit by a full output Malevolent Shrine, which would be cleave, which would be auto-adjusting durability on numerous parts of his body, from a full output Sukuna, and he's relatively fine. And now he just has to deal with Furnace. Womp womp. But he lives that. So speed-wise, he's above Yuta and Maki. Durability-wise, he's above Yuta and Maki. Endurance-wise, he's above Yuta and Maki. And technique-wise, he may be above Yuta and Maki. Now, admittedly, I'm pretty iffy on whether or not, Yuji's hits actually count as soul damage based on how they're described. I'm 50-50 on whether or not the quote-unquote soul damage is like just separating souls from each other. Like, essentially, view Megami and Sukuna's souls like this. I'm not sure if when Yuji punches, he's actually like hitting the Sukuna's soul or like doing real damage to it, or if he's simply like punching my hands apart and like slowly weakening the binds between them, and thusly it wouldn't be like Soul Split Katana, which is actual soul's damage, which is noted to be separate from what Yuji's doing. But once again, we're slopping Yuji off. He has soul damage with every single one of his hits, and he's on a roll with black flashes. Meaning basically every single hit Yuji wants to land will be a black flash. Like, notably, almost every single thing that's actually a definitive hit on Sukuna this chapter is just a black flash. Meaning he'd hit every other character with a 2.5 times multiplier upon his base hits. Yeah, these hits are able to damage Sukuna. Knock him around. And assuming all of his physical stats are the same, once again, just being entirely generous and leaning with it, rocking with it, yeah, he's able to do damage to Sukuna, he's able to do damage to every other character in the verse. Literally every last one of them. Except for the ones he literally can't hit in Satoru Gojo. So, you know what that means? Every single character takes damage from Yuji Itadori's regular hits. But guess what? We don't just have to rely on Yuji Itadori's regular hits anymore. We don't even have to rely on Yuji Itadori's blood manipulation. We get to rely on something even more devious, even more dangerous, even more diabolical. Yet Yuji is cleave. And it forces Sukuna to heal his leg. Because even in spite of the output being low, yeah, bada bing, bada boom, it still does damage to Sukuna. And it's still innately cleave, even if being different based on the incarnation of Yuji. And him being from a different era than Sukuna. Meaning he has a Duraneg auto-adjust slash that may also do soul damage, as far as we know, considering the nature of everything else Yuji does. So he essentially has Soul Split Katana in his hands. And he has the speed to grab anybody else with those Soul Split Katana-based hands. And he has the raw power and the ability to consistently land black flashes that no one else in the verse has. Giving Yuji maximum slop, assuming Sukuna is uniform, and giving Yuji his maximum credit with his durability and his AP and his overall output and all of his new abilities, Yuji would undeniably be top 3. He would Perception Blitz Yuta, just like Yuta got Perception Blitz by a point-blank dismantle. Was never able to dodge any of them. And heck, you could argue, if his punches are legit soul damage, he would beat Yuta down so badly that he'd probably break the connection between him and Rika, banishing Rika, and Yuta would never be able to get his domain off. Yuji would likely steal the ring and eat it. Maki wouldn't even know what hit her. She would be slammed by a black flash that wouldn't just send her through a building, but would immediately be followed up by another black flash, and then another black flash, and then another black flash, and he'd probably break Soul Split Katana over his knee. Note how I haven't even brought up Hikari Kenji, because he does not matter. I'll be complete. I haven't even brought up Hikari Kenji because he's irrelevant. But, like, that's the thing. If you take everything Yuji does at face value and assume that none of Sukuna's speed stats or durability stats have gotten nerfed, yeah, Yuji's just the third strongest in the verse now. Even in spite of lacking a domain, because anyone with a domain wouldn't be able to get it off. Their output would be in the garbage, and their soul would be damaged beyond repair. And Yuta cannot heal the soul. Maki likely cannot heal the soul. Hikari is a 50-50 on whether or not man can heal the soul. He's weird. But once again, he'd get blitzed and have the brakes beaten off of him horridly. Or Ume, an incarnated player. Well, not an incarnated player, an incarnated vessel, actually gets annihilated by a couple of Yuji punches. Every single reincarnated sorcerer we see gets blitzed and annihilated. Yuji would be the third strongest if you unzip his pants and slop him to the moon. Do I really think that? I think you know the answer to that. But I did want to give Yuji his true proper slop before he gets even stronger. Presumably, he's just going to keep getting better. And despite the fact that he's set up to be in a pretty horrid situation by the end of 258, I will not lie. He's going to have to manage to kick this fire away. I still think he only has more growing to do. He's already evolving blood manipulation. He's going to start evolving cleave even further. He's only going to get more and more powerful. And that's fantastic. And I'm excited to see him keep growing. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think my super generous or crazy slop interpretation of Yuji has any sort of validity? Where do you place Yuji in the verse right now? What do you think the levels of power that Yuji Itadori will reach are by the end of the series? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave sloppy. Leave just sloppy. Like sloppy. Actually, Nah, legit, just leave sloppy in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that little notification bell so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon envelope where you can support me for as low as $1 to get things like exclusive videos, content, and more. You will now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, ad variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below where you can drop a $5 donation for a short little video, like 1 minute or something like that, or a $25 donation for a full-length video, one time only. But I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dag on the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members of Kleiner Plays, Greyhound, Kids Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, G Prosper, Paris Arnold, King Sukuna, and NMA. I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons, Steron, Sean, Owexian, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Josh Brown, John Malcolm, and Igneal Lynn. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 member, Autumn Mornings Lazo. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our $10 members, Robbie Uchiha and Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another big old thank you to our $10 patrons, Panda Goat, Joaquin Munoz, and Idemokami. And finally, I'd like to give a big, hefty gargantuan thank yous to our $25 patron, China Doll 09. I'd like to give another gargantuan toe-curling slobbanaba dabba thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.